Well, good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone to Sonoma State University, and people are here on this beautiful campus and also joining us virtually today. And for me, it's great to be back at Sonoma State. I'm Tim White, the Chancellor of the CSU. I do vividly remember my first visit to this campus. I was being shown around, having a chance to visit with students and staff and faculty and community members. And excuse me, as good fortune would have it, there was a student tour, or tour of prospective students. And so I went up and listened to how that tour was going. And one of the parents found out who I was and asked me afterwards, well, if I had a daughter, why would I have my daughter come to this campus? And I said then, sort of tough question, right? But I said then, and I'll say with more conviction now, it really is about the commitment that this campus and this system has to our students and to their learning environment and to our mission of through education, creating a better quality of life for all of us. And Sonoma State should be very proud in its living learning environment. You know, we have incredible students. They reflect the communities of California, from the north to the south, from the west to the east. And we are a proud organization building on the shoulders of those who preceded us in the vision back from the last century and going forward to the modern world today. So our faculty and students do provide the heart and the soul, along with the staff support, to make this place work going forward. And our mission can be also just one of transformation for those of us privileged to work in the CSU and those of us who are privileged to study at the CSU. And in my personal case, I have actually had a chance to do both, since I've had 2 degrees from this great institution along the way. Our mission is access and quality. It's not an either or for us. I want to make sure that when we have our conversation today about student success fees, that we stay focused on both the large issue of what we're all about and then specific issues around what the student success fee piece of that equation is. I want to remind everyone that this is a public meeting. It is being recorded as I speak, and your comments will be recorded. It is being live streamed, and will also be archived as our public meetings are. And for those of you who are joining us online, you can submit written feedback that this work group will, in fact, read and study as we form our impressions and report back to the Board of Trustees first in November and again in January. The website is www.calstate.edu/ and then all one word, Students Success Fee Forum. calstate.edu/ Student Success Fee Forum is one word. The site is also listed in the public notice. For those in the room, we ask that you keep your remarks short and focused on matters before the trustee work group and stay focused on the student success fee piece. I don't know if do we have a timer here? We're sort of anticipating, about 2 minutes per comment, and the hook doesn't come at 2 minutes and 1 second, but if it goes much longer than that, we might ask you to wrap up your thoughts. As a reminder, before we begin, a new state law placed a moratorium on new student success fees until January 2016, and just to be clear on what that means, it means those campuses that have fees today are allowed to continue to charge them. And some campuses are in the early stages, and when it was passed on their campus, it started at $1 amount, and then every semester, every year, it goes up a little bit. So there will be no change on the campuses where student success fees are in place today. The moratorium simply was to not start any new programs of that nature until after the trustees and I have had a chance to think more deeply about the fee and the process that leads to the support of the fee. We will be discussing preliminary observations and thoughts with the trustees at the November Board of Trustees meeting that is held in Long Beach, but is also web streamed, and public comment can be made at that meeting, and then any action items that may come from the work of the work group will come in front of the board in the January meeting in terms of any policy changes that might be in front of the trustees. And following the board meeting in January, And before February 1st, I need to take what we're going to plan to do going forward, take that back to Sacramento to both legislative and executive branch for their information and consideration. So with that sort of backdrop, let me focus this now on what the charge to this work group is from the chair of the Board of Trustees, Lou Monville. Really sort of 5 major pieces of our charge. One is the process and history by which campus-based Category 2 mandatory fees are enacted and approved. The second is the process by which the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor are informed of fee discussions on campuses. Third is the accountability and outcome reporting to stakeholders, including trustees, students, faculty, staff, and the public. Fourth is the impact of Category 2 fees on student success and affordability. And fifth, the variation of Category 2 fees across the 23 campus system with particular attention on racial, socioeconomic, and academic readiness data. I do want to express my appreciation to all those who agreed to serve on this work group, and because it's a public meeting, by introducing them, I'm also taking a role. A student trustee, Talar Alexanian, a journalism major from Cal State Northridge.
Present.
Trustee Doug Fagan, who's actually the chair of the work group, but I'm doing all the heavy lifting because he's the trustee. Here. President Jeffrey Armstrong of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
Here.
And not able to join us today is President Mildred Garcia from Cal State University Fullerton, but she did send along her thoughts, and I will read those into the record in a little bit. And I want to thank Lars Walton and Jessica Darren, Ron Vogel and Michelle Kiss and Justin Curtin and the whole Sonoma State team up here, Ruben, who for the support of today's session and all the work you've done to make it work so well for us. And now we'll turn to comments from each of the work group members, and I will read President Garcia's into the record. Following that, we're going to ask President Armaniana to give a short review of the process that was engaged here at Sonoma State University. And then after that, we'll move into the open public comment. Trustee Fagan.
Thank you, Chancellor. I love this campus. Everything, it couldn't be better. I came up to graduation last year, and as I'm sitting there on the platform and amidst all these really happy people and accomplished and well-deserved. It was a beautiful, sparkling day in Sonoma and Luna Park and Santa Rosa. And behind all the graduates, maybe a quarter mile away, a hot air balloon started rising into the sky. And I thought, the president had set this up to emphasize the beauty and uniqueness of the campus. But I guess he didn't really do that. He could have if we had success fees, but he couldn't afford it. But no, it's a wonderful campus, and it's not just beauty, it's also academic excellence and a whole experience that I think you'll remember forever, the faculty, the staff, and especially the students. We are here really to listen, and it means, Sonoma is unique among the campuses that we've looked at, because the success fee was not instituted. So that's one of the reasons we're here, as opposed to a lot of other campuses. We started at Northridge. Next week we'll be in LA. They have them, and President Armstrong and Garcia, they have them. So there's a number of them. But I think Sonoma might be one of the few, if not the only, to actually turn it down on campus after it was proposed. So we want to hear what happened. The president's going to give us a pretty good review of that, but we want to hear from you and your reaction. And so we want to hear the good things, what you felt was right, and what was not so good. And that includes the proposed uses to which the money would have been put, as well as the process on deciding it. One of the issues, of course, is it's called alternative consultation, which means a bunch of meetings to have people come to. And a lot of campuses that have imposed success fees have done that instead of votes of the student body. A couple campuses have had votes, President Armstrong's campus, but that's an issue. That's a controversy. So all those issues are on the table, and we want to hear from you, and that's why we come here. So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Trustee Fagan. Next is San Luis Obispo President Jeff Armstrong.
Thank you very much. This is indeed a very beautiful campus. I would also encourage each of you to participate. We had a good representation of students last week, but I would also encourage faculty and staff to participate during the public part of the forum. Over the past 3 years, with the backdrop of a 38% reduction in state appropriation per student since 2007, and the highest, nearly 50% of students in high investment majors, think about engineering, agriculture, and architecture, the number one goal articulated by our students in the student success fee process was to make sure that Learn by Doing was not just a slogan, to make sure that we hired more faculty to teach more units in more classes so that they could get the degrees they had planned to, and of course required there is to get the classes. It worked, and the process worked for us. The process and the results are in a handout that you can pick up in the back of the room. You can see some of those results. I'll just highlight a few. There's a section on deliverables where 1,120 sections were added across all of our colleges. That's over 39,000 seats for students in each and every one of our colleges. 38 new permanent faculty were hired last year, and even more the year before that. That's what our students said that they wanted through the student success fee process. Counseling, we improved our counselor to student ratio from one counselor for every 2,600 students to one for every 1,700 students. That's an impact, but we're still not where we should be. The experts say we should be at 1 to 1,500. Where would we be without the student success fees? Our students made a long-term commitment to Learn by Doing. Who wants to be the one to tell them that someone else may have to revisit that after a long-term commitment, and especially as little as 5 years? If we're going to review fees, we should include differentiated campus costs, cuts since 2007, and the fact that each of our CSU campuses are valued and different. Just one more thing about how the students decided to allocate student success fee revenue. They made the long-term commitment to Learn by Doing with faculty hires, and we were able to commit other resources to enhance our efforts in diversity and inclusivity on our campus. In closing, I'm proud of our students and our faculty for the work that they did on this. Our process worked at Cal Poly. It may not work for all. One size does not fit all. Let me end by saying this about the student success fees at Cal Poly. What we have in place is more than a process. It's a promise best evaluated, formed, confirmed, and implemented through shared leadership at the campus level with the Chancellor's oversight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next will be Student Trustee Talar Alexanian.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and to Sonoma State for hosting the forum today. It's truly been a pleasure being a part of this working group and representing the 440,000 students in our CSU system. It is not and should not be an easy decision for any of our campuses to enact such a fee. However, the needs of our campuses are truly great, and we certainly have a long way to go before we reach a point where our state funding reaches pre-recession levels. In the meantime, we're working hard to reduce the students' time to degree, provide additional resources to assist students outside the classroom, and improve their overall collegiate experience. Are implementing student success fees the sole way to do that? Probably not, but I do see these fees as bringing us one step closer to enhancing the CSU student experience and ensuring that the revenue brought forward by the student success fees are going to programs, services, and initiatives prioritized and decided by the students for the students. Each CSU campus is vibrant, it's diverse, it's unique in its own way, yet they play a role in our 23 campus system. How can we ensure that students remain at the forefront of the decision-making process, starting with the inception of a fee and continuing with the allocation of the fee revenue to different parts on that campus? What are we doing and what can we do to uphold and improve transparency and awareness about these fees? And finally, what are the common threads that we can take away from each campus that will better define what student success truly means? Thanks to all of your comments and feedback today, I hope we'll be able to clarify some of these questions and hear any other comments and concerns that you all have. I hope you'll provide us with some more insight on the process here at Sonoma State or any of the other northern campuses that are here to represent today and made the drive out. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Alexanian. I would now like to read into the record the comments of President Mildred Garcia from Fullerton. President Garcia felt it would be important and helpful to share how at Cal State Fullerton handled the student success fee process. In the fall of 2013, several of the Fullerton students, led by the student leaders, became interested in the new institutional strategic plan and issues addressed by the WASC accreditors. A student fee advisory committee was formed in the fall of 2013 to discuss the possibility of instituting a student success fee, and student leaders met throughout the fall on that topic. A proposal was developed as outlined in the, quote, Titans Deserve Better, quote, brochure that is available for your review. For those interested to get a copy of that, it is available at the Fullerton website, www.success.fullerton.edu. The allocation of funds was for categories that included items such as expanding academic advising, expanding library hours, increasing course availability in order to address bottleneck courses, enhancing the Career Center in order to provide additional internships and service learning opportunities, enhancing the athletic facilities, embracing diversity and veterans initiatives, improving classroom technology, and expanding Wi-Fi and networks across campus. Once the student proposal was drafted, the committee ensured there was a widespread information sharing and input was sought. An information sheet and survey was prepared that allowed students to review the proposal, provide comments, and/or make suggestions. They delivered 153 live presentations during the day, evening, and at their satellite campus in Irvine. They also, working with the Division of Information Technology at Fullerton, created a way to put the information sheet and survey online. And when students logged into their student account for information about the student success fee and the information about the, rephrase this because it's an important point. When students logged into their account for whatever reason, information about the student success fee and survey automatically appeared. The student had a choice of either completing the survey at that point or opting out at that point. And every student, that happened to them 3 times. For each student. They tracked that 33,000 Fullerton students logged in and had to either take the survey or opt out. And the total participation was 2/3 larger than the average turnout for any student election that they've had at Fullerton. Now, because of the survey and the feedback that was obtained that way, the Student Fee Advisory Committee actually decreased the amount of their fee proposal and voted to forward their recommendation to the president. The president then is now in the first year of implementation, and the Student Fee Advisory Committee at Fullerton is working with the administration to ensure that the money is being directed to what the fee intended, and will be communicating that information to all the students in the entire university community. President Garcia finishes her comments by saying that she is proud of our student leaders and the Student Fee Advisory Committee for instituting such a collaborative, transparent, and widespread process. We'd now like to invite President Amriana to come forward, and Ruben, maybe up here on the stage, if you don't mind, so the cameras can see you and people that have gathered can see the front side of you. And he's going to provide a summary of some of the events here at Sonoma, and following that we'll go to the open forum. Comments?
Thank you very much for coming to our campus. It was nice to have you. Let me first say that I believe that the student success fee is a legitimate, local approach to our dismal failure of our political leadership to fund higher education appropriately in California. And there would not be this discussion if that political leadership would have done a better job in funding higher education, not just the CSU, but all the other segments as well. And unfortunately, I do not foresee in the next few years an improvement in that level of funding. And therefore, that's the local approach. It is, in my estimation, while legitimate, an awkward, cumbersome, and uneven process, which creates significant differences among campuses. And that, I think, needs to be taken into consideration. Now, to tell you sort of the Sonoma story, really began in 1996 when San Luis Obispo they did their fee, first student success fees. I'm not sure they call it the student success fee at that time.
Cal Poly plan.
And we tried to, at a much reduced level, try to follow their example. And we failed. And the reason we failed was, one, there was a significant level of opposition, which was headed by one of our lecturer faculty members, Mario Savio. And based upon the assumption and the premise that if we were to do this as they have done at San Luis Obispo, that we would take the pressure out of the political leadership from funding the CSU and education program. And so this was opening a escape valve for the political leadership not to fund education appropriately in the state. It was a good message. Unfortunately, I don't think the political leadership got influenced one way or another. While the campaign was going and there were very active discussions on campus, etc., it was a referendum. Mr. Savio died prematurely. He had a heart attack. And the end of the campaign became a memorial for Mario Savio, and I think had a great impact. And at the end, the vote was like 48 to 52% no. Interestingly enough, the people who voted no were mostly juniors and seniors who would not have to pay. And the people who voted overwhelmingly yes was your freshmen and sophomore students. I agree, even though the referendum was advisory, I have committed, and as I did, to respect the vote of the referendum. It does. Then comes back a year ago, and we started again another conversation about a fee again, as a result of the enormous defunding of the campus, and especially in the areas where our students were being mostly affected, which is core sections and advising. The process, we never rejected it because it was the process never got started. We had a conversation, we had some discussions, but an actual proposal was never concluded. Because the conversation was about, a number of things came to the forefront. One, these fees, if they are to happen, need to be created, led, and campaigned by the students. If they are seen as an administrative process or administrative-led activity, I don't think it works very well. And obviously, this was viewed as administrative idea rather than the students. In between 1996 and 2013, our students have been extremely generous in increasing other fees. And a lot of what other campuses are doing with their student success fee, we already have done, but not call it a student fee. We have, we have supported athletics through the IRA, and that increased. We built a recreation center and a student center, and they tax themselves for it. We created hours, extended hours for the library, etc. And all of those, and we were, compared to other campuses at the time, we will not be any longer, probably about the third highest fee campus, St. Louis first, Maritime Academy second, and I think we were about the third. And all of those fees have been done by the student-led campaign, organized by them, and supported by them, and all of them have gone through a referendum process. There was only one fee that did not go through a referendum process, or went through the alternative part consultation, and that was for an advocate counseling part, which, as a matter of fact, we probably were ahead of the sexual harassment formation before others. Well, second to that, for student-led, second piece of it that became apparent was that we already have done a lot of it. Our need was, and if we would have gone for a fee, it had been very specific, narrow focus, hiring more faculty, permanent faculty, to provide greater number of course sections, and adding some counseling. A lot of people thought that that is really not the responsibility of the students, but the responsibility of the state, poorly funded. But that was part of it. And thirdly, we got into a technical problem, which I think was a killer, was that if we would have gotten a fee to hire more faculty, increase course sections, etc., under the then present rules, we would have shot our targets, enrollment targets, so high that we would have paid more in penalties than what the fee would have brought. It didn't make sense. You don't go and try to collect $10, go through all of that, add the burden to the student, and then having to pay $11, $12 on it. Therefore, and that's even though the penalty system has changed, still, I think any campus who will go hog wild in enrollment will have some sort of penalty coming from. So that's what happened here. It was never, therefore I pulled the process, the consultation out and said we are not doing a fee, and therefore there was never a vote, there was never a process, and there was never a formal proposal on it. But clearly, I heard what the students were saying in informal ways, what the newspaper, The Star, was reporting about it, and since and I was very concerned of paying $12 for only getting it. That's sort of how the story here goes.
Thank you, Ruben. So we now would like to start the public comment piece, and I ask anybody who has comments to share to line up and use the microphone here in the room. As I said earlier, we try to limit comments to 2 minutes. And also one of the things about a public meeting and public comment is we don't really engage in a dialogue. You know, you can raise any issue you want. We're really here to listen to your thoughts. So who would like to start this afternoon with public comment? Here we go. Thank you. Please identify yourself, and then others can just so we save time, you feel free to stand up behind her, and so we can make sure everybody gets a chance to speak who would like to. Again, I encourage students, faculty, staff, community members, everybody who has a thought about this, we'd like to hear you.
And remind them to let us know which category they fit in, student or faculty or student.
Yeah, please identify yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Asami, and I'm a graduate student at CSU Pleasant. So I'm here today to say that I oppose the student success fees very strongly. Students at the CSU, they're not rich. The students at the CSU are unique. They're hardworking, and most of them have to have 2 or 3 jobs. I have to have 2 or 3 jobs just to stay enrolled, just to afford my tuition. And these fees, I know it sounds like they're not a lot, $250 a semester, it sounds insignificant, but for us, for the average CSU student, they're very significant, and they're very hurtful. And I've talked to some students on my campus, and they've said that if these fees are implemented, they'd have to consider dropping out and getting more loans. So I really encourage you to consider the average CSU student. I know the average CSU student already has 2 jobs, minimum wage jobs, just to get by. And again, I just want to say that I oppose the student success fee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for coming from Fresno.
Hi, my name is Luke Tesla. I'm a 5th-year senior at Sonoma State University. I'm here to talk about the fee implementation process. I believe there needs to be more student consultation in the fee implementation process. I think when you expand what consultation is, I know that we have a referendum or alternative consultation, but I wouldn't go as far as say that we need both. That way students can respond to the fee both qualitatively and quantitatively. And I also urge that financial aid cover these fees. I've spoken to many students, and they said that they would not be able to afford the fee and put in place. Even those who see the potential benefits of the fee would not be able to access offset by that. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Luke.
Good afternoon. My name is Jake Rogers, and I'm a 4th-year agricultural business student at California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo. According to the CSU student fee policy, advisory student referendum is the preferred method of measuring student support for fees, yet 8 of the first 9 student success fees were implemented using alternative consultation. To ensure that referendum is used as the primary form of gathering student opinion, this group must establish standards that outline when it is acceptable to replace referendum with alternative consultation. Furthermore, requirements need to be put in place to ensure that whenever alternative consultation is used, it reaches an appropriate number of students and is representative of the campus. Measures must also be put in place to ensure accountability in the allocation of the funds from the fee. At Cal Poly, we established a system of accountability through a Student Success Fee Allocation Committee, which is made up of faculty, staff, and students, with students in the majority. It is this committee that makes recommendations to the campus president on the allocation of student success fee funds, ensuring that the voice of students is well represented in the allocation process. In continuance, in order to remedy the added financial burden of this fee, it's been proposed that students on federal Pell Grants become exempted from paying. However, Executive Order 1054 clearly states that student fee revenues cannot and never should be expected to support increased access. And by exempting certain students, we're essentially subsidizing the quality of their education with the funds raised from the students who do pay the fee. The purpose of this fee is to preserve the quality of education within our universities, and that is a burden that must be carried by all. Next, I would like to address the inequality of fees across campus. The justification for this inequality is simple. The cost of providing an education varies across universities due to differences in programs and approaches to instruction. Therefore, campuses must maintain the autonomy to establish and control their own fees in order to preserve the diversity of education in our system. Finally, this task force has been charged with examining the possibility of a sunset clause. The creation of such a clause would only serve to prevent universities from being able to perform long-term planning. Furthermore, the fee fills a funding gap left by the state and cannot be repealed without damaging the quality of education unless the state is once again able to fill this gap. However, Executive Order 1054 asks, does anyone believe that this financial generosity is likely to prevail again? We all know the answer to this question. Therefore, as you compile your recommendation on the handling of this fee, I beseech you to establish a system that ensures that students are heavily involved in the approval and allocation of the fee, and that accountability measures are put in place in order to preserve the integrity of this process.
Thanks, Jake.
Good afternoon, Chancellor, and student group members. Thank you for allowing us to speak before you today. My name is Ben Anderson. I'm here both as a Cal Poly graduate student and military veteran to put forward my personal conviction that the Cal Poly student success fee process is strong and efficient and should be maintained and potentially expanded to other campuses within the CSU system. Our process at Cal Poly utilizes both a referendum and an alternative consultation following the policy recommendations of Section 4.C of the CSU fee policy. This balanced process is designed to increase appropriate and active decision-making. Referenda allow every student the opportunity to democratically engage with the campus and CSU leadership on what the priority their needs are. Alternative consultation, on the other hand, has no operating framework to ensure a representative sampling of the impact of the student body, both on and off campus, and to make sure that they're engaged in the decision process. A prime example of the strength of the referendum process, the one that I have been personally impacted by as a liberal arts graduate student, is the increase to the Cal Poly College of Liberal Arts college-based fee, or CBF, proposed during the winter quarter of 2014. The CBF, Category 2 fee, was less than that of any other college at Cal Poly, leaving room for potential improvement in appropriate areas if properly increased. The Office of the President consulted with CLA students to decide what to do. My peers and I had mixed opinions on whether to raise the fee or not, with a referendum of no by only 3 votes. Ultimately, the decision was made not to raise the fee. This example highlights how in order for students to feel involved as partners in the budgetary stewardship and decision-making process, it is absolutely necessary for campus administration to respect student input. Our administration did that extremely well that day. President Armstrong could have enacted the CBF, but he saw what the students wanted and considered that as part of his decision, earning our trust and professional respect. The purpose of the Student Success Fee is to create and maintain the higher educational standards that have made the CSU system exemplary on a national scale. Part of the success is the diversity of approach to education on each respective campus, a diversity that would be at risk of not being accurately reflected were the oversight of student success fees removed from the local to a state level. As an example, Cal Poly follows a hands-on learning approach distinct from all other academic institutions in the CSU system. An understanding of the needs required to effectively meet this approach has resulted in the creation of a high number of labs, the majority of which have been funded by our student success fees. Student success fees have also resulted in an increase in classroom instruction opportunities that amounts to over 39,000 seats per academic year, as President Armstrong mentioned previously. As a CSU student, I respectfully ask that you maintain the autonomy of the process of the student success fee by continuing to entrust it to individual campuses. Our students are the most expert gauge of the unique requirements needed for their academic success. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Good afternoon. My name is Crystal, and I'm a current student here at Sonoma State University. And I decided to bring student testimonials for students who were not able to be here today because someone told me that there were not going to be enough students here outside of associated students. And so I brought a few testimonials, and one student said that I am against the success fee because as a double major student with a full course load, a part-time job, and a 3.85 cumulative GPA, I'm already successful. Another student said, I stand against the fee because Another student said, I stand against the fee because students should not pay extra for standard university services. I think with these student testimonies really highlight that fees are not going to guarantee success. And also the term success is not really identified in terms of how that's going to help the students. Everyone's definition of success is different. And for the students that we have spoken to, and on behalf of myself, I don't think that fees are going to guarantee student success, as they have not over the past decade, due to the increases that have already been implemented on our tuition and our fees. So I just want to really reiterate that we should try to think of different things to help out our CSU system rather than charging students more to pay for an education that should already be providing them with success when they apply to the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
My name is Cheyenne, and I'm a fifth year here at Sonoma State, and my current debt is $30,000, and I cannot afford to pay $1 more. I have a few student testimonies as well. With the 130% increase over the past decade, which has not helped us. Right now, we're facing an increase of homeless students here at Sonoma State. Students cannot afford to pay the fees that we have already. Students don't know where they're going to let their heads at tonight. And with a fee increase, it might have to force students to drop out. I see what's gone. Who wants that? Second, we don't have the proper materials in the class for our teachers to teach. Tuesday, I had to sit on the floor because there were not enough chairs in my classroom. Other things are clocks, projectors, just basic essentials that the school should be providing. And with my $10 or $250 per semester, I don't think that's going to help us. So, my name is Cheyenne Aldridge, and I oppose any fee increase in the near future.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew. I'm a student leader here on campus. I'm a community services advisor, where most CSUs would actually call them RAs. I work directly with freshmen as a dorm advisor. Earlier in this meeting, Trustee Fagan, you said that we could have a hot air balloon if we had a student success fee.
That was a joke.
I understand that was a joke, but sir, my education is not a joke.
Well, that wasn't meant to offend anybody. It was a bit of humor. I'm sorry you took it that way.
I appreciate your apology. However, this board is very important to me. My education is very important to me. And the fact that we're able to throw around this humor, I don't find it very funny at all. Instead, I think we should be working together to go towards the state legislature and increase their support and their funding. The fact that a trustee board has to come to different colleges in the California system and demand money from us, I don't find that funny as well. My education is something that's very important to me, and I really want to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Hi.
My name is Jonathan Gabi. I'm a faculty member here at Sonoma State. I'm also a graduate of Cal Poly Pomona, and I did my doctoral work at UC Riverside. So I am a proud beneficiary of what higher education has to offer here in California. Happy to say also I graduated from all of those programs with very little debt. So as such, I'd really like to encourage the trustees to urge the governor and the legislature to properly and fully fund the CSU instead of implementing new fees on our students so that it's hard for them to get along and be successful in their careers. Thank you.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Jonathan Leggett from Cal State Fullerton. Back from the nice drive. So, I first want to start off by saying that Cal Poly SLO has been an excellent leader in this entire process. We have been seeing some of the best, the best transparency measures that have been put forth through the CSU system have come through their institution, and us at Fullerton, we aspire to have those same programs so that we can give our students that same type of knowledge. Secondly, we also agree that the student voice needs to be heard. Obviously, this is a very controversial subject, and we believe that students need to have their input on these things. They themselves define what it means to be successful, and so thus they should be involved in this entire process. And so we want to assert that if any campuses are looking to expand on their programs or even relook back at the programs that they've already done, you want to make sure that the students are creating it. You know, people work for what they help to create. And lastly, I believe that essentially this fee in the long run is similar to putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. The CSU system has been absolutely shattered, especially since 2008 and the recession that has come forth. But we need to do bigger measures in order to refund the CSU system, to combat the $1.7 billion of deferred maintenance, to combat the low graduation rates, so that we, as the state of California, can come back and thrive. Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Hi there. My name is Rebecca Robinson. I'm a sophomore here at Sonoma State University. I am 19, and I'm already thousands of dollars into debt, and that's really unfortunate. And
I didn't hear. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear how much.
Thousands, just thousands. And you know, my parents are in debt trying to pay for my college, and even though $250 a semester doesn't seem like a lot, it really is. It's making an impact. And I highly encourage everyone to maybe take some time to think about other ways in order to get these successes that we want. I feel like my tuition is already a student success fee in itself. And that's about all that I have to say. I thank you guys for listening to the students because it means a lot to us that we have our voice heard. So, thank you.
Hello. My name is Kristen Freya, and I'm a sophomore here at Sonoma State University. And I'm an engineering major, which, you see it as, oh, you'll make a lot of money outside of college, right? Well, it's kind of hard when our programs here are very, very much impacted. And I understand that we want to implement the student fee to make it so it's less so. But I honestly don't see that as a method of helping. It's more or less making it harder for students to actually pay for the schooling that they want. And implementing these new fees, making new programs, seems like a great idea in theory, but I do not see it as an actual outcome from the student fee. And seeing where money has gone on this campus in past years, I don't see it happening in order to help the students. I see it happening to help more administrative people. I don't know, our administration is better. And in all honesty, we need to implement something that can help the students rather than help everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bianca Zamora, and I am a fourth-year student at Sonoma State. I came here freshman year, and there was 5 of us friends. We were all Latina, we were all first-generation students, and we were all low income. Now my 4th year, there is 1 left. That's me. That means 4 out of us 5 Latina sisters have left. Implementing fees is decreasing the accessibility of low-income people of color, first-generation students to come to college and go back to their communities and make change. The mission of the CSU is to create an accessible pathway for college. Having these fees is decreasing the ability for low-income people of color and first-generation students to attain a college degree, and is in turn hurting our society as a whole. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shane Stillwagon. I go to Cal State Fullerton. I'm a junior, and I play on the baseball team. I'd like to talk about what the Student Success Fee is doing at Cal State Fullerton in regards to Titan Athletics and Titan Pride as a whole, and what it will be doing in the future. The first thing that it is going to, from an athletic standpoint, is a new track and field facility. Our track and field team has a lot of events that go on and bring a lot of schools and bring a lot of recognition to the university because of what they do on the track. The next thing it's going to do, the fee is going to do, is a new intramural field and lights on the intramural field, so everyone in campus can get involved, and that's part of the Titan Pride, is everyone getting involved on campus, because as many people know that Cal State Fullerton is a community university. And the best thing for us is to try to get everyone involved on campus. Another thing would be getting a new scoreboard for the soccer stadium to get more people at the games and lighten up the facilities. Lights on the baseball field is another big thing. We play on ESPN. Our softball team plays on ESPN, and because we don't have proper lighting, they have to bring in lights for the games. And every time we're on TV, we represent the university in a good way and bring recognition to our school and bring recognition to Cal States everywhere. Right now, we're competing at a very high level, all our athletic teams, and we're not fully funded. But due to the student success fee, all scholarships are fully funded for all of our sports, and it's going to be able to make us compete at an even higher level now that we can fully fund people and not have students not be able to afford our school and play sports for our teams. I'd just like to reiterate the point that pride is a big thing for every university, and because we don't have as much pride as we would like to, this is a big deal for us. Titan pride hasn't been big in the past, and it's a big issue for us, and getting people involved in the university, making the college experience more than just going to school and sitting in the classroom has been big. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Apparently that comment wasn't appreciated by some. So we have 35 minutes, so there's plenty of time for others to comment. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to Sonoma State. It's nice to see you again.
Yes.
Trustee Fagan, Trustee, how do you pronounce your last name?
Alexander.
Alexander, thank you. And President Armstrong, welcome. Glad to see you here. My name is Catherine Nelson, Professor of Political Science. Sonoma State's two senators, academic senate, CSU, statewide senate. So I had the pleasure of conversations with some of you and watching you in action before. I'm hoping you're listening to the incredible eloquence of this group of students. I'm absolutely overwhelmed but not surprised by the nature of the comments and the quality of the comments they're giving. From my perspective, Chancellor White was talking about wanting to increase the diversity of Sonoma State, and that's been one of your commitments since you got here. And I think listening to students who are telling me this kind of thing can make it incredibly difficult for students of color, low-income, first generation to get here. It's worth your time. Also the comments about transparency and how the fees have been used and student involvement in the process. As a faculty member, I am particularly concerned about if these fees are awarded, the use of these fees to hire permanent faculty, and whether or not the fees are going to go into the general fund, transition to become part of the general fund. If you have a temporary fee and you're hiring permanent faculty, something's going to have to give somewhere, and that's going to cause all kinds of problems. So I encourage you to look very, very carefully at the budgetary implications, not just the fees themselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Fortis. I'm a staff member at Cal State Fullerton, and I'm here to let you know that we think the process is working. It worked well on our campus. This allowed our institution to say that there's not just one way for us to invest in our students and their education. We know that we are out there every day raising more money from philanthropic dollars. That's an important part of our strategic plan. We're out there every day advocating for more funding from the state and from the system to educate our students. And the third part of that is that our students have chosen on our campus to invest in their own education. We ran a very strong process. We had campus-wide, a real campus-wide conversation. People came together. And our students chose 8 categories where they wanted to invest in their own education that supported our strategic plan and the mission of our institution. Our Student Fee Allocation Committee put together a very solid proposal. They took it out and we had 3 weeks of conversation. We brought that information back and they didn't feel like there was enough. We went back out and had more forums and continued the conversation because it was so rich and the feedback was so good, and we wanted to make sure that every voice was heard. We had 153 in-person presentations. We had more students complete surveys as a result of this than we do in a typical ASI election. We had online, in person, on our satellite campuses everywhere. And our Student Fee Allocation Committee listened. They listened to the feedback, and they adjusted the proposal based on the feedback that came from the campus conversation. The system worked. We're now implementing. We're borrowing the best practices from all of our sister campuses, particularly San Luis Obispo, that's learned from those things. Our first SSI Fee Allocation Committee meeting is happening on our campus right now, today. Our students are there hearing about the things that are being invested in the first year of our program. This has been an important element on our campus in allowing our students to invest in their education and improving their Titan experience. And I would urge you not to change the process. It's working. It's worked on our campus. We would also invite all of you to join us on our campus on November 7th, where we will be reopening our Veteran Student Services Center. We've been able to invest student success money to make that center everything that it should be. We have a new director of Veteran Student Services. We're serving more veteran students than we ever had, and that's made possible because our students made an investment in that program on our campus. Just one example, November 7th, we'd love to see you. The Secretary of Veteran Affairs from the state will be there. We'd love to see you come and join us and see these student success fees at work and what they're able to do to make a difference in the lives and education of our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Sonoma State. I'm glad you're here. I'll be speaking with you later on a one-on-one, and so I'll keep my role as a faculty member and chair of the faculty here. So I'm Richard Simons on that agenda. And I'll speak right now as a father who now has a daughter in college and is incurring student loans, while I'm still paying student loans myself. And I'm a full professor and have been here. I'm in my 17th year and I'm still paying student loans. And I got in that position by not carrying any student loans for my undergraduate years. I was lucky enough to get a state university education, not in this state, but in another state. And by not having a debt that would chain me down, I was able to, in those halcyon days, hitch across the country and land in Silicon Valley and have 10 years of working for startups where I didn't have to worry about paying loans. So I was part of that Silicon Valley economy. That was based on not lots of debt. Right? The investors covered the debt there, not the individual citizens. And that's the model I'd like to see us go back to. We have our students leaving here with an incredible amount of debt, and student fees are going to increase that. I hear that the student fees have been wonderfully helpful in restoring all kinds of services, opening more classes. Yes, we need that money, but on whose back? The students or their families. And we are a state institution. If we were a private institution, I would have no problems with us saying, let's raise the fees. But we aren't that. We're the state university. So I urge us to figure out a different solution for this. This is why I dedicated my career to teaching the state institution, was I wanted to give access to the citizenry. It's good for the state. It's good for the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there others who would like to share an opinion or a thought? Come on up here, we have two now.
You got it. Really, you got it.
Why don't you guys do a tag team every other day?
I'll make it short then.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Tamer
We
Al-Haddad.
have plenty of time. You know, 120 seconds you got.
Well, my name is Tamer Al-Haddad. I'm the ASI president at Cal State East Bay. I'm here just to ask to not change the process because the process is working well in East Bay. Our student retention rate have increased year by year, and the reason why is this fee. This fee helped our camps a lot. And every year we have changed all the student need and what they ask. They've been asking ASI for the last few years, and we have been writing resolutions, and every year we see changes in our campus. And all that because of this fee. And now we increase advising. We're working on the laboratories and classrooms equipment. And the students are really involved. We have 5 students sit on that committee, and it's almost half. So our voices are heard. And I don't want to say it, repeat the same stuff that everyone else repeats, so thank you.
Thank you. Coming up.
Good afternoon. My name is Edie Brown. I'm a professional staff. I work in the academic advising office for undeclared students. I'm also a graduate of the CSU system. I got my bachelor's of psychology here from Sonoma State, and I received my master's in counseling at San Francisco State. So I am a beneficiary of the CSU system, and I am also a proud employee of an alma mater.
Did you get to 3 million?
I did not.
There's a lot of luck in it.
Thank you. I've been with Sonoma State for 13 years as a student service professional, And over the last 13 years, I have seen some very dramatic changes in my work with students because of budget cuts. And what I've also seen is students impacted by that severe cut. And while there is part of me that says a student success fee, if truly utilized in a way that would benefit both curricularly and co-curricularly, of students being able to get through, retain, and graduate in a timely fashion, which is the movement that we've been working for many years now, I would probably support it. But as a professional staff, what I'm witnessing with my students and in many other areas that I participate on campus, it's difficult to say, yes, go student success fee when I see housing increase every year, when I see food plans that are mandatory for our freshmen increase every year, when we add new student fees such as the student center, and I value that on our campus. I think it shifts the culture of who we are as a Seawolf and brings that pride that we have been sorely missing here. But again, it's a fee on the back of our students. And I don't know what's the right answer. I think it is political. I think it's going to the governor and the legislature and taking a harder stand with them. I value and respect that this fee is working on other campuses, but I have to remind you, we are not Fullerton, we are not SLO, we're not Pomona or East Bay. We're a young institution, we're in our mid-50s, we still have a lot of growing to do, but I think we need to be cognizant that there is transparency that I'm not sure we have yet to see in how we are spending our money and where those things are going. I see change occurring, which inspires me and makes me want to do my job better. I know that our staff has increased from 2 to 3.5. I'm hopeful that that trend will happen in our Career Center and other places on campus where student services have needed help desperately, and I see that happening, and I respect the president and our administration moving in that direction. I just don't know that now is the time for Sonoma State to think about one more fee for our students. I have worked with our EOP population here for a number of years, and I've seen the class that Bianca Zamora went through and the loss of the students. I work with remediation and probation and disqualified students. And many of the reasons that they're leaving or just giving up is because they can't afford to be here. Sonoma County is not a cheap place to live. And so I think we have to take into consideration that it's not just a fee to have our students be successful, but how that impacts them and their ability to live even relatively comfortably here in Sonoma County. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marvin Hooker. I'm a student at CSU Santa Claus, a senior. So I just want to say, as a student, one of the staples of the CSU is to offer an opportunity to get an affordable education. Most of our CSU campuses are Hispanic-serving institutions and have a high number of first-generation college students. Many students on my campus are already working 2+ jobs just to be able to afford the education that we offer at Santa Claus. I urge you to steer away from implementing another fee that students would have to pay to receive services that the university should be providing with money from the general fund that is provided by the state. And I would like to also echo what she said, that we need to consider all other fees that students are already paying to get the education they're receiving in CSU. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to thank you for putting this together and getting the concerns of the students. I am Megan, the CSU. I'm very proud. I got my undergrad at CSU Stanislaus, sociology, and now I'm continuing at Stanislaus with my graduate program for public administration. So I'm very proud to be made in the CSU. I agree with the demand of more resources for the CSU system to enhance the quality of student success, and I understand the intentions of this fee. However, what are we telling our legislators and the governor? I feel that implementing this fee will damage our advocacy efforts for more funding for higher education, especially for the CSU system, and being vocal as a whole to our state legislators and governor to put higher education as a top priority. I also feel that implementing more mandatory fees in the CSU system is losing the focus of a public institution. I would urge the working group to think twice about the effects of this fee to our advocacy efforts and our message to our state legislator and governor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Kerry Balla, and I'm a fourth-year student here at Sonoma State. And over the course of my 4 years here, I've had too many friends that have decided to leave this college system because it's already too expensive for them. And with the amount of job or hours they have to spend working, to them it just didn't seem like it was worth it. So any increased fees, that would increase the amount of students that end up with that decision. And while I understand that it could have some great benefits to the students that are able to pay it, it's not worth the students that we lose in that, from that fee. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Hello, and I'd like to thank all four of you for being here today. I'm Mitchell Kobayashi. I'm the Associated Student Body President from the California Maritime Academy. I come from a school that does not currently have a student fee, nor do I support the fees. However, I encourage you guys to continue the process that you all have right now. As long as there are educational sessions and a student referendum, I believe that if the majority of students at my school feel that there is no need for a fee, there will be no fee. However, if the majority of the students from my school feel that a fee is necessary to increase the amount of sections that are available to them, that they should be able to vote and have that say. So I believe that the process is working, as the majority of our students do not believe in a fee, and we currently don't have one. Thank you for your guys' time.
Yeah, Maritime is going to be a training ship Golden Bear, a fuel fee.
Yeah, seriously, we learned so much this summer.
When your senior capstone project is driving the 500-foot Golden Bear through the Panama Canal, there's a lot of fuel in that for you. But I'm going to plug Maritime because their graduates are the ones who drive most of the ferries in San Francisco Bay and are the pilots for most of the big container ships that don't hit the Golden Gate. So Doug, maybe they need to have a really big feast that are really good. I don't know. Thanks for being here.
Sorry for that.
No, introduction. I got off script. I shouldn't have said that.
My name is Tomio. I'm a 4.5 year student here at Sonoma State, anthropology student. Just a couple of points, observations that might hopefully contribute to us at Sonoma State and maybe give you guys a little perspective as well. It seems to me like me and the president, when we were here the first year, ran a big campaign against the Student Center, and Sonoma State has a pretty strong culture of resisting any kind of fee that materializes. And I mean, President Arminiano was referring to Mario Savio. I mean, we have sort of this strong trend in our school culture of really pushing back against sort of any fee. And so I think there's some transparency issues that we're seeing at the university where we're in this really optimistic place at our university where we're starting to come together as a community. A lot of the administration has come down, and we've had some great conversations with the provost when some other fees were coming. And I think having a fee right now may sort of impede on what we need to have in terms of communication and a good process. So we're coming together as a university and really working hard to understand who's saying what and the motivations behind it. And the problem is, in order for this fee to be successful like other campuses have had, we need to have, we're still sort of working on that communication that is necessary for a successful process. So I think, and from the student perspective, any kind of success fee, the language that exists in a student success fee, is kind of a toxic word for a lot of students here, because it almost gives like an opposite picture of what's intended in saying, oh, it's a success for you. It's like, well, those people over there don't actually understand the way us students live here and how my friend X and X over here is struggling. So there's a communication and transparency problem that we're working on that we're not quite ready for fee. So just a student perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Edgar Garcia. I'm a student at CSU Stanislaus. I'm a fourth year, double major in political science and criminal justice. I just wanted to personally say that I personally do not support the student success fee because of the simple fact that it certainly begs the question on if we foresee the legislature prioritizing the CSU less, because otherwise, why would there be a student success fee? Because we foresee the legislature prioritizing this less. I feel like these fees will set us down a slope, and I fear these fees will continue to rise and drastically lessen the funding of the state legislature. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there others who care to comment? Wax eloquently? All right. No, I can't keep twisting.
Yeah, you twist my arm. My name is Anthony Galino. I'm a student at Sonoma State University, a fifth-year political science student, and I'm the president of the student body here. In listening to some of the conversation so far, and what I've gathered from it, I see that many of the students are concerned with services at their institutions. At Sonoma State, we're concerned with our student services at Fullerton, at Cal Poly SLO, in a lot of different places, in East Bay. And I think that we see that because as time has progressed and the money available for higher education in the CSU has decreased, all of the money that we have has to go to supplement the classes that we have. And so we siphon off the money that we have for our student services to ensure the support of the academic success of students. Well, the answer to that then, as we're having this conversation, seems to be that we need to increase the campus-based fees to meet the needs of the particular services that we have on each campus. But I would disagree with that, because I think some of the basic services that you need to provide at each of the CSUs, such as, for example, counseling and psychological services, advising, career advising, tutoring and mentoring, remediation, and those kinds of things, might actually be better served at the meta level, or the macro level of the CSU. And I think that we need to look at, and I think that the reason we're having this conversation to begin with is that not only is there a moratorium on student success fees at each of the individual campuses, but what spurred, I think, many of the student success fees was a moratorium on the Board of Trustees to increase the Category 1 fees of the CSU. And the benefit of the CSU increasing fees at that level, Category 1, is that when you increase those fees, usually a third of those are set aside for Cal Grant recipients to offset the cost of the increase in fees. But with Category 2 fees, it becomes much more complicated because then you figure in the total cost of attendance, and there's not that money set aside to offset that increase and so forth. So financial aid becomes more complex for certain students and alienates certain students. And then I think finally what I'd say is that it's, I think, unfortunate and difficult to ask students to bear the burden of deciding whether or not to tax themselves for an increase in success or academic success or quality of their education. Because then I think what you do is you alienate certain student population groups against each other. You have a set of students who say, well, we can't really afford that fee, and you have another set of students who know that they can afford the fee and know that it will, it won't hurt them in any particular way. And so I think you're pitting students against themselves in a lot of different ways, which is unfortunate. So I think that all these things need to be balanced out and thinking about what the state provides versus what the CSU provides versus what the students provide. And how are there ways, what are we using these student success fees for? And how at the macro level could we, perhaps lower the cost altogether if we pool the various resources and making sure that those services are provided at a reasonable cost level. Thank you.
Thanks, Zachary.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Adam Rosenkrantz. I'm a student here at Sonoma State, fifth-year senior, the current vice president of finance for the associated students here. Somebody mentioned earlier, student fees at Sonoma State have consistently increased, yet there's been little evidence of the reinvestment of this money to improve the overall quality of education at Sonoma State. I think we all recognize that there's been funding from the state has been severely diminished, and it's placed a burden on individual campuses to provide basic services that should be provided by the state. At what point does the state take accountability and recognize that it's their job to provide these services and to ensure the prosperity of the CSU by refunding the CSU, and in turn they would ensure the prosperity of California as well.
Thank you, Ed. You can have your note paper out.
Oh, there's not really much on it.
I'm old, you're young.
Hello, my name is Joseph Fernandez. I am a student at CSU Stanislaus. I personally am against the student fee. While some of the students are working 2 to 3 jobs just to get by, some of us can't even find work. It's also expected that California, in the future, that we will be short 1 million college graduates. By implementing this fee, we are decreasing access, thus even increasing that 1 million student college graduate gap even further. Thank you.
Any additional thoughts for us?
Hi, my name is Sheree Wisniewski, and I'm a CSU Stanislaus senior. As one of the only campuses left that hasn't implemented this fee, I respect that Fullerton, their ASI has passed resolutions and used this fee with their student government to get the things that they want. I also would like to point out too that at CSU Stanislaus, RASI also has extended library hours without the implementation of this fee. We've been able to put a freeze on our parking passes without the implementation of this fee. We have been able to encourage our president to look into more counseling and career advising, academic advising, without the implementation of this fee. And while, again, I respect other campuses that are using their fees, I also would encourage administration to look into other ways of providing these services for students. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? I want to thank each of you and all of you for taking the time to think about this issue with us. And of course the time to come today and listen to your student and faculty, staff, colleagues with range of opinions and thoughts about this. I just assure you that we will be, our work will comport with the input that we've heard from our university over time. We have other business to do and a lot of things are coming in electronically, so we have our work cut out for us to synthesize this into a coherent presentation. But I just personally, and as your chancellor, thank you for the time you've taken to help inform us. Seeing no other comments lined up, I will call this public meeting to a close at 1:25. Thank you so much.